On our journey as guitar players, as we're going down the road, we collect stuff that we like to play. We put it in our sort of like basket of things we do. We like chords, some chord voicings, there's some scales. I have favorite scales. I have a favorite song that I like to play. And there are phrases that I get from copying guitar solos or whatever. I really like that, right? So you're building your solo capability. When you do that, when you take a phrase that you really like, maybe you get a tab of a guitar solo or you learn one off of a recording. When you do that, you're transforming your musical preference into your musical capability. And that's a really, really big deal. Like that's what starts to fundamentally create your voice as a musician, which is really great. So let's say you have this lick, you have your favorite licks. Play your favorite lick. I love it. I love that lick, it's great. And if I said to you, are you getting enough mileage out of that lick? You might say, well, yeah, sure. I love it. I play it all the time. Fat and happy, right? If I rephrase that same question and said it like this, that lick, that's a really great lick you got there. Is it trapped where you learned it, in the position you learned it, or in the key that you learned it in? If your answer is yes to either of those questions, you are gonna love this video. Hey, welcome back to the channel. My name's Chris. Today you will learn how to transpose a phrase. Now, I mean more than just move it around in any key. What I'm really talking about is a holistic effort to really own that phrase, to really make it yours, right? To expand it and make sure that you own it. I use 3 different techniques with myself and with students as well to ensure this sort of holistic ownership of a phrase. And I'll tell you what they are, and then I'm going to demonstrate them. Each one of these has sort of like increasing impact on if you really own something. Do you really own this phrase? Number 1 is transposing it, just taking it into every key, right? I learned it in the key of A. If I put on a backing track that's in G, can you do it in there? Can you do it in the key of D? Learn a new song with the band, but the singer can't sing in D, it's too high. They have to go down to B flat. That's just regular transposition, right? The benefit is now, in any musical context, I can play that phrase. That's pretty good. That's a good amount of value, right, for the effort. The next one is what I call octave mapping. And octave mapping says, no matter what key I'm in, no matter what single key I'm in, I can play that phrase anywhere on the neck. Now that's an added level of value, right? Well, I learned it in A, but if I'm in A, I can play it way up here on the high strings. I can play it way down on the low strings. I can play it anywhere on the neck. That's a huge amount of value. The third one is what I call fingerproofing. Now, on a saxophone or a piano, this note can only be played in one spot. On the guitar, there are multiple places to play it. It's in multiple places, which means there's a higher variety of fingerings and possibilities to play it. When we play phrases on the guitar, and specifically when we learn them, we either start them with one of these 2 fingers or one of these 2 fingers. They're starting or ending on the sort of the low or the high side of our fingering hand. When you start a phrase on this side of your hand with these fingers have to sort of complete it or are responsible for the other notes in the phrase. Vice versa, when you start a phrase with these fingers, these other fingers have to like take the responsibility of some of the notes in the phrase. Fingerproofing suggests that whenever you have a phrase, you start and end it on different fingers just to make sure that you really own it. And that basically starts you owning the harmonic context of the lick itself, of the phrase itself. And that arguably has the biggest impact. It doesn't sound like it right now, but when I show you how it works, it really will. Let's get started. Okay, let's get to transposing this phrase. Here it is. Pretty simple phrase. I think I got this from Peggy Lee's Fever. Wherever it comes from, it just was something I really liked, so I put it on the guitar. That's the backdrop. So the first thing we're going to do, that first method, is just transpose it into different keys, so that no matter what key we're in, we have access to it. So the best way to do this is just to take it around the circle of fifths, but I need some context. Right off the bat, I'm going to need a little context. We're in the key of A here. That's where I learned it. I'm really going to hang it on this E string. It's in the middle of my pentatonic scale. So I can see the little box here. It ends on the root. Just learned that about this lick. All right, that's pretty cool. So let's just make sure we can play it in every key. The best way to do this is just take it around the circle of fifths. Circle of fifths starts with C. There's a C. Got it in C. The next in the circle of fifths is G. This is going to be pretty easy. Next one is D. Next one is A. Oh, we already know A. And then E. Oh, I can play it open here. That's pretty cool. And then around the circle of fifths. Pretty cool. Great impact. Now I can say to myself, no matter what the musical situation is, I can play this phrase. It's mine. I really own it in that way. The next thing to do is to use what I call octave mapping. And the result of octave mapping is going to say to us, no matter what key I'm in, I'll be able to play the phrase anywhere on the entire neck. That's going to be a lot of value. Let's see how that works. I'm in the key of A. I've realized that the lick ends on A. So there's my frame of reference. Here's another A right here. I can play it down there. Oh yeah, there's the box for the pentatonic scale. My next A is up here. I've got it there too. The next A is right here. Here's my next A. Oh, but the B string. Got to watch out for the B string. I've got to move the notes on the B string up a half step here. Change the fingering a little bit. That's interesting. And then we're back to where we started. Boom. I can play this phrase in any key. No matter what key I'm in, I can play it on the entire neck. I'm feeling like I own this phrase pretty well. Now I'm going to take you through something that I call fingerproofing. The phrase starts on my ring finger. There's two notes that I'm rocking back and forth to on the G string here. And there's one note on the D string. I'm going to start this lick. I'm going to force myself to start the lick with my index finger now. And play above my index finger. Now the lick has completely changed fingerings. Now the single note is on the G string, but there are two notes on the D string. The fingering is completely changed. You can take that through the octaves. Well, there it is on the bottom of my pentatonic scale. That's pretty cool. How about this one up here? Uh-oh. I have to change the fingering again, that B string. I've had to change the fingering again. Interesting. Now I own it because I understand how the basic concept of the lick itself, of the phrase, works. And I can replicate that sound with different fingers. So now I've gone from a lick that just was here when I learned it to being able to play it in any key, no matter what key I'm in, to be able to play it on any part of the neck, starting and ending on any string. And no matter where I am on the neck or what my hand position is, I can make this lick happen from either side of my hand, which changes the way it's phrased and changes the way the timbre of the strings, where the notes are. I have pretty good control of this lick now. I feel like I've taken it from just something that I learned one day into a phrase that I've built into something that I can use in any musical situation. Okay, there's a few techniques you can use to really get some holistic ownership around, your favorite phrases. Again, musical preference into musical capability, and then real ownership of that capability. But there's one more technique that I didn't show you, and it's arguably the most dramatically impactful around your ownership, and that is what I would call, really taking something through harmonic analysis. So here's the lick again. I really like it. I really do like it. Why? Why do I like it? I'm going to play it slow, and I'm going to allow myself a little bit of time and space to uncover why I like this. Well, right off the bat, I'm in the key of A. That is a really important part of the lick to me. What is that? It's a D note. I'm in the key of A. A, B, C, D. It's the 4, but I'm bending it up. The thing that's above the 4 is the flat 5. So I'm suggesting this tension at the beginning of the lick. That's my next favorite part. Arguably this last part is not so great. Flat 5. What's that? That's the flat 3. So I really like that flat 5. And that flat 3 is great too. Now this, what's that? The end of the lick is 4-1, D-A. Sounds a little, I think there's room for something there. I'm going to go back to the flat 5. That's better. Now I'm going to try the flat 3 instead, because the flat 5 is, I like it, but... Oh, I've heard that a lot. I've heard that many, many times. I want to try something new and interesting. I'm going to just try the note right below the flat 3, the 2. Whoa, that's going to be a lot of tension. Let's see if it works. Wow. Okay, that's it. I have a new lick, right? I just made a new lick. I got this lick from somewhere. It was really cool. It was my musical preference. I analyzed it. I found out the end was like not cool enough for me. So I made a new ending. Now I've got this lick. Boom, done. Musical preference, musical capability, real ownership. Okay, I'm getting a little worked up. I've tabbed all this stuff out. If you're interested, I've linked that in the description below. Head on over there if you'd like to get the tabs. We're also having a very cool conversation about all this stuff, so you're welcome to come and participate at any level you want. Just know that any support on Patreon really fuels this whole thing for me, and so I'm not sure I could ever express my gratitude. But if you need the tabs, they're over there, and if you want to take part in the conversation, please do. I'm very hopeful that at least you get more mileage out of the licks that you already love, right? That you really own them. And then secretly, I'm really hoping that you get to that 4th level and you ask yourself, why is this my musical preference? Why? 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 All right, I'll see you next time.